Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, you read the title, and yeah, you know what I'm reviewing next, and as I teased in the last review video, going to another film by Disney under Touchstone Pictures, and this being a Coen Brothers film, and by the way, I was right, this is their first remake film, and as I also mentioned and teased, this Coen Brothers film, which being their first remake film, starring good old Tom Hanks, and yeah, I gotta say, I quite enjoyed this remake film that the Coen Brothers did, and just, yeah, because for this being their first remake film, and the next remake film that they would do, and as we all know, just, yeah, but, you know, unfortunately, it wasn't the best remake film that they did, especially seen as how it's their first, but like I said, I quite enjoyed it, so that's right, guys, I am reviewing the Coen Brothers film, which being a remake of, yeah, because, you know, from the original from 1955, and seeing as how this remake film is celebrating its anniversary. That's right, I am reviewing the Coen Brothers, The Ladykillers. Yes, The Ladykillers from 2004. Yeah, because, again, I quite enjoyed this remake film. Sure, yeah, it's not the best remake film, and since it was done by the Coen Brothers, and again, because this was their first, well, technically they had just gotten started, you know, doing a remake film, and I guess it shows, but again, look what would come next for the Coen Brothers 6 years after doing this. Yeah, we all know, because it turned out to be a pretty good one. A pretty good remake, I should say. You should know what it is that I'm talking about, and that the Coen Brothers did, and which would get Oscar nominated. So, anyways, so, yeah, the Coen Brothers, The Ladykillers, again, because I quite enjoyed this, and I am familiar with the original Ladykillers film, and obviously because, well, with what's in the remake, of course, just like, say, what's in the original, because you have these 3, 4, 5, you have these 5 criminals hiding under and staying at an old lady's house, and, you know, down in the basement, they're pretending to be musicians, but what they're really doing, well, because again, as I said, they're criminals. They're basically digging through the ground and, you know, creating a mine, basically, and just basically getting money and such, because that's what they're after, you know, greedy and so on. So yeah, and yeah, because from the casting and the funny moments, because I did get some pretty good chuckles from the Coen Brothers, The Ladykillers, and also just some moments where I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming. Like, really? Just, well, that's what you would usually expect sometimes from the Coen Brothers. So, I mean, you know, take, for example, the next remake film that they would do. You did not see what would come at the end of that film. Of course, I'm talking about True Grit. I had to say the name at some point. Now I did. Yeah, so take that, for example, because, you know, the ending to True Grit, the Coen Brothers' True Grit, the total opposite what the original ending to the original True Grit film was like. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyways, so, yeah. Again, I know that it's not the best film that they've done, and it's obvious, like, you know, this is not their only kind of stinker, because they've had plenty of other stinker of films, like, even if whether if they're doing movies together or if they're doing movies separately. Because, yeah, the Coen Brothers have done movies. They've sometimes done movies by themselves, each of them. So, yeah. All right, but enough said. As always, read the description / the story. Professor G.H. Dorr, a quarterly Southern gentleman, arrives at the home of devout elderly, if I said that right, Marva Munson, hoping to rent her extra room and use her basement to rehearse with his classic music music and assemble. Yeah. His fellow musicians, however, are actually criminals, and as I said, and together they plan to rob a casino. When Mrs. Munson learns of their plan, they decide she must be silent. Yeah, literally. Certainly, murdering one little old lady cannot be too difficult. Well, it is for them, surprisingly. Okay, so getting into the film itself, yeah. Honestly, because when watching this, and now that I've finally watched it for the first time, kind of not what I was expecting, and still, because I think pretty much because you never really know what to expect sometimes in movies, so... but for, the Ladykillers, and again, getting into the film itself, because with our main characters and what goes on, and honestly, I don't seem to recall if the movie establishes the location of, where this movie takes place, and where Mrs. Munson lives, and so on, but anyways... so we have, of course, Marva Munson being played by Irma P. Hall, and, because at the start of the film, she goes to the sheriff's office, and she, speaks to, the sheriff, and also the deputy being there, Sheriff Weiner being played by George Wallace, and he's just called the deputy sheriff, being played by John McConnell, if I'm even saying the last name right. You know me sometimes. I've said this before. Basically, she's reporting to the sheriff about, these people, like, playing hippity-hop music and stuff like that. One thing I kind of did not expect, and I completely forgot and didn't realize that, this being R-rated, because... boy, does this movie really go at it with the foul language. And that's what you would expect from the Coen brothers sometimes. I mean, some of their movies, like most notably True Grit, getting a PG-13 rating, so anyways. Because, a lot of uses, sometimes on the N-word, but especially a lot of use on the F-bombs. Yeah, especially from one character, which, oh boy, when we get to him. So, her returning back to her home, and, she's a widow, her late husband, and there's a portrait of her late husband, Mr. Munson, and clearly because there was someone that they painted, and, because taking someone's likeness for the husband of Marva Munson on that painting, you know what I mean? And I even checked, and clearly the last name Munson, I would notice it, but I don't seem to see him or anything like that. Well, obviously, I mean, because all we get is the painting, because, her late husband is dead, so, yeah, I don't know, that's interesting, because surely the actor, who, his likeness was used on the portrait / painting of Marva's late husband, I don't see why he wouldn't be in the cast, but anyways, and, getting a credit. But anyways, so then at one point, and also because Marva has a cat, and technically the cat has a huge part in this, especially for certain parts of the movie that has to do with her cat, and her cat being named Pickles. And at one point, because, she's talking to herself, and technically, talking to the painting of her late husband, and at one point, she hears a knock on the door, and when she goes to the door, by opening the door, and Pickles got out and went up to the tree, it's Professor G.H. Dorr, being played by Tom Hanks. And, his southern accent, that he does for the character of Professor G.H., just so good. I really got a kick out of the accent Tom Hanks was doing, and he was good at it. And this isn't the first time that Tom Hanks has done certain voices and accents in movies. Like, take for example Forrest Gump, or how he did a voice impression of Fred Rogers, because his portrayal of Fred Rogers. Yeah. So Professor GH, introducing himself, but Mrs. Munson having him to help retrieve her cat and having bad luck, and then eventually, because, a branch breaks off and, well, he hit his head, and, he was brought into the house and attended to his wound, and he introduces himself to Mrs. Munson, and he is interested in taking a room in her house. Renting her extra room, and also a little bit later use her basement because he tells her that he has a band, and she's questioning because if the type of music they do is hip hop or something, but no, because the professor tells her that, well, it's classic music and stuff like that, and then we get our introduction to the other 4 characters who are alongside with the professor, the 5 criminals. So we get the introduction of the 4 other characters. We have Garth Pancake being played by J.K. Simmons. Good old J.K. Simmons. We have Gawain McSam, if I'm saying the full name right on that character, being played by Marlon Wayans. Marlon Wayans. And there's also the General, and I'm not joking, he's literally called the General, and he's credited, the character is called the General, and how the name of the character is credited. The General being played by Desai Ma. I think I probably got that right. And also we have Lump Hudson being played by Ryan Hurst. And, the 4 other characters and who, are working alongside with Professor GH. They are some pretty interesting characters, and the personality of them, and what they're like. I love that when movies do that, each character and what they're like, and, it wouldn't take you too long sometimes to know what they're like and their personalities and so on, and how the one interacts with the other, etc., etc. Because, Gawain McSam. I'll stick with McSam because I am saying it right. Okay, McSam. He's quite a handful in this, and as I mentioned, because a lot of use of the F-bomb coming from him, especially him, and actually, because really the only characters that used the F-bomb so much was, well, McSam, but there were times that Garth used the F-bomb as well, and I think maybe 1 or 2 other characters, including one character, because, well, getting to know what these characters are like and what they do. McSam, he works at this casino, he's a janitor and such, and his boss, Fernand Gudge, if I'm saying that right, being played by good old Stephen Root, and I'm pretty sure as though, Stephen Root is the Coen brothers, he's one of their lucky charms, because Stephen Root has appeared in quite a handful of some of the Coen brothers films, and because I could have sworn he was also in True Grit, but apparently not, because I probably had a Mandela effect. So Fernand Gudge, because, well, he's kind of a crappy boss, especially to McSam, and also there's a security guy working at the casino, and because he and McSam know each other, Elron, being played by Walter K. Jordan. And then with Garth, because what he does, he actually he works in the business of, I guess, TV commercials. And at one point, because there's a commercial being shot with a bulldog, dog food and such, and it's themed to a battle or something, and it's pretty funny. And Greg Grunberg, he plays the TV commercial director. And Greg Grunberg, because he is because a young Greg Grunberg. He is who I think he is, because Yeah, because he's one of J.J. Abrams' Lucky Charms, because he's appeared pretty much in most of some of the J.J. Abrams films and such. From the two Star Wars films that Abrams directed. He's appeared in the Star Trek films and Alias, if I'm saying that right, the show with Jennifer Gardner. Yeah, so he's the TV director. Well, and he too using the F-bomb as well. So, and apparently, because I believe as though, Bruce Campbell makes an uncredited cameo as the Human Society worker, and he just has a silent cameo. That's it. And well, if anybody knows Bruce Campbell, and by spotting him in the film, like, oh yeah, that's Bruce Campbell. So, and like, because at one point Garth gave the bulldog like a gas mask or something, but there was supposed to be something else attached to, I guess, the bulldog's leash. And apparently at one point the bulldog is suffocating in this like made gas mask for the dog, and Garth trying to revive him and such. And also, there's also Mountain Girl being played by Diane Delano, I got the last name right, which she turns out to be the love interest of Garth. Yeah. Also, the introduction to the General, because he works at this Asian restaurant, I want to say, and these two black crooks come in. They want the sushi money or something, and well, the General popping out. And basically what he does, and how he takes care of the two crooks by sticking his fingers up in one of their noses, and even the one lady working at the counter, took care of the other one by pouring hot tea on him, and well, that took care of the two crooks. And also Lump Hudson, and basically Lump Hudson is the dim-witted dumb guy of the group, and from his point of view, really cool, because he does football, and he's not quite good at it, unfortunately. So yeah, okay. But so we have the introduction. We have the introductions of our four other characters working alongside with the professor, and to speed things up, because eventually all five of them come together, and they're in this hearse car, and supposedly because they have their instruments, and they're taking their instruments down to the basement, and also, Mrs. Munson pointed out to Professor that she prefers quiet and so on, and not loud music. And, well, quiet is something that the Professor is good at. He can be very quiet, and thus, they'll be quiet downstairs, and their music won't be that loud. But little does Munson know what they're doing. Well, because eventually when they get down to the basement, and basically because they have a radio player or something, by pressing the button and music is playing, and obviously that's to trick her into thinking they're playing music. Well, they lay out the plans on what they're going to do: steal money from the casino that McSam works at, and basically, down in the basement, because part of the basement there's no walls. Instead, there's ground, from the grass and such, part of Earth. So that's the biggest opportunity for them, and the goal to basically create a cave, a mining tunnel, and in order to get to the casino, and by putting Lump in charge of digging and so on. It's pretty funny. And eventually, because they're getting there, and all while they're trying to, keep what they're doing, secret and such from Mrs. Munson, and, whenever she comes down to the basement, they are quick enough to hide what they're doing, covering the tunnel, cave, I should say, tunnel, basically, and whipping out their instruments, which they're not good at playing instruments. So, even at times, because Munson and how she interacts with the others, especially, say, McSam, slapping him a couple of times, and also pointing out to the General that she will not allow smoking in the house. And also, she points out to them that this is a Christian house. Because she goes to church, and a couple of times that, we cut to a church that she goes to, and this choir, because that kind of choir, African-American choir and such at churches, really good. And there were 2 songs in this film, and yeah, I'll put a text of those 2 songs. I think they were pretty good, especially one of them, Make It Shine, I think that is, but again, text right here of the 2 songs. Even like looking at the bonus features on the DVD, because yeah, I have my DVD copy, and as well you saw in the thumbnail, yeah, because when I looked at the bonus features, well, the 2 songs were there, and again, the 2 songs in the Ladykillers, as well as the music and score, all were pretty good. Okay, but continuing on, because, yeah, all 5 of them just, making progress, digging, a tunnel, and trying to get to the casino, and, because at one point, I think they eat at a Waffle House or something, because, the professor orders all 5 of them waffles, and then, at one point, Mountain Girl comes in, and, well, because, the others find out that Mountain Girl knows what they're doing, and especially because McSam is just going on, like, your bitch, like, coming into to the restaurant and such, and just insulting, not just Garth, but also his girl, and, well, because that she knows, and, yeah, and especially because throughout the film, Garth and McSam, they don't really get along at times, especially because, well, like, because of with Garth's girl, and even at one point because McSam was pulled his gun on them, and the professor being the calm one and just getting them to knock it off and so on, and even Mountain Girl gets emotional at one point, and yeah, so even at one point McSam, he actually at one point while working at the casino got fired because, well, he apparently was staring at a chick's butt, basically. So, yeah, and Fernand, his boss, fired him, and McSam going on to his boss saying that, you fired me because I'm black, and but no, because, well, it's clear what he did early on. So, anyway, so, McSam, he gets fired, but, the professor and the others, they plan to do something about it. Well, and because, they have to get into the casino because, well, McSam working at the casino, and he knows, pretty much every, like, room and location in the casino. And I think, like, it's on this, like, cruise ship or something, because we do get a shot. We get a shot where we see, like, the boat and such docked, and, yeah. So, what they do next, and to speed things up still, because, bringing a gift to McSam's boss, and, he's forgiven, and, well, he's unfired. He can do his job again at the casino. So that went pretty well. And still, the many times where, all 5 of them are hiding the evidence from Mrs. Munson on what they're doing. Even at times, like, they cause some stuff that she notices, but the professor trying to cover it and, make an excuse on what it could be or something like that. And also, the portrait of her late husband at times, and I think at one point I was thinking of this before it happened, because there are times where the facial expression of her late husband on the portrait, it does change. And obviously because his reaction on what these 5 criminals are doing. We've seen that kind of thing before in some movies where some portraits, their facial expressions would change. I can think of, say, the best example, Mouse Hunt. If you remember and know Mouse Hunt, and you know what I'm talking about, that's a good example right there. So, like, at one point, hiding evidence from Munson on what the heck happened in her house because, well, Garth, he has these, like, tiny bombs or something. And at one point, because, by stupidly using a hammer, because giving them a demonstration and examples on what he made and such, and, by using a hammer, and right as he was about to say, boom, like, you could see the smoke and such coming from inside of Mrs. Munson's house. And, well, because obviously Munson heard it, because actually her and a friend were going to be going to church, I think, music stuff and such, and the professor assuring her that probably it's nothing too major and such, and, like, you don't want to be late to what you're doing, and, him dashing back inside the house, and, because what happened in the aftermath of that explosion, well, Garth lost a finger from that explosion because of what he stupidly, mistakenly did, using a hammer and hammering one of those explosive devices, and he lost a finger. He lost this finger. Jeez, what was he thinking? But, I mean, eventually he's all right, and he thinks it's not a problem at all. It was just one finger that he lost. But still, McSam just, insulting Garth, and each of them getting on each other's nerves and such, yeah. But anyways, then at one point, well, because how close they've gotten to the casino and where the money is at, well, because, with McSam, as a janitor, and him, of course, at work and helping out the other four to get into the casino and, well, to steal the money, of course. So they successfully steal all the money that's in the casino, and then at one point, out of nowhere, because something's up with Garth, and that being he has IBS. Yeah, I think I got that right, the correct order of the letters. IBS because, just having trouble controlling his bowels and such, and, because he really has to dash to the bathroom and such, and because it's, it's an emergency, and because McSam just complaining because of, at a time like this and such, but, but Garth, because he can't hold it, he has to use the bathroom, and what happens next is he uses the ladies' room, well, because, that was the nearest bathroom to where they went, so, yeah. But of course, yeah, even because after he successfully went to the bathroom and going back and, collecting the money and such, and also, because they were digging the dirt and such, and they were piling the dirt up in garbage bags, and this happens a good chunk of times in the movie, where they would drive up to a bridge, and they would basically drop garbage bags when a dumpster ship is going under the bridge and such, yeah, and when the garbage is in sight, well, because they drop the garbage bags. And what would come next and what would be thrown in the garbage bags? Oh my gosh. Also, I almost forgot to mention this. Well, because after Garth's finger was blown off, Miss Munson's cat Pickles got a hold of his finger, and even at one point, the general is chasing after Pickles. Well, technically the general's got this, well, and from what we see in the movie, he's quite a good runner, so, and I think probably he did, maybe he did or not, because we don't see what happens next, and if he got the finger back or anything, but we do see later on, Pickles with the finger, and what happens very later on in the film, and until I get to that. So yeah, again, they successfully get the money, and at one point, and to speed things up still, because, well, there was supposed to be a detonation that was supposed to go off in the tunnel, because it would close off the tunnel that they digged and they made, hiding evidence that they dug a tunnel and going to the casino. There was supposed to be a bomb that was supposed to go off, a detonation, but nothing happens. And, well, Garth going in to see what the delay is, and also McSam back still at the casino, and what he's doing, well, putting bricks in and cement and painting over it with, white paint, because, the room that they were in, getting the money because the walls were white, and yeah. And while Garth, him going up to where the bomb is supposed to be detonated, because it just froze, it stopped, and him trying to fix it, and I think at one point he was having another moment of IBS, but thankfully it stops, I think, yeah. And, because he's trying to unscrew where the device on setting off the bomb, and then it starts again. It resumes, I should say. It resumes because it's at 14 seconds, and when it resumes, it's unfrozen and such, now 13 seconds left. Well, yeah, Garth makes a run back at the basement as fast as he could, him crawling and such. Thankfully, he did survive the explosion, because it was coming. The explosion does go off, and this causes a big, loud explosion, not just in the house, but also at the casino, because clearly McSam heard this, and, even... Elron, because he was there too, and awkward silence, and McSam quickly saying something to Elron, "Did you fart?" So that took care of everything, so the coast was clear. Whew. So again, they successfully had gotten the money, but because of the explosion, and the explosion, it traveled its way through the tunnel and causing Garth to, fly back into the basement, this also caused the money to fly everywhere, and, then Mrs. Munson, because she heard this, she went to check down the basement, and she can see that the money was flying everywhere, and and there better be a good explanation, as she says to them, and the professor would give her a good reasoning as to what had just happened in the basement. And she once again caught the general smoking, and there are times where the general, hiding his cigar from Mrs. Munson, in his mouth. Well, that's just one way. I mean, he can't, really put it in his pocket, because, that would probably start a fire, so, yeah. And also, because the general barely has any lines in this. He does speak English, but I think he just has, say, I don't know, 2 or 3 lines, yeah. And, Lump Hudson, because him being the dimwit, of course. I mean, yeah, because at times, he's asking questions to the professor, and, the way he talks, and, yeah, the performance that Ryan Hurst brought to Lump was pretty good. He definitely did a good job playing a dim-witted dumb guy, and that being Lump. Because their cover just about being blown, and Mrs. Munson very surely suspecting and wondering thinking that something is not quite right, and little does she know that she is right. What happens next is, and still to speed things up, because, the professor, reasoning with Munson, and, giving her reason as to what had just happened, and with money flying and such, she doesn't believe it at first, and, of course it was bound to happen at some point. The professor gives Mrs. Munson the whole truth on who they are and what they're doing and why they stole money. And there's a mentioning because of Bob Jones University, and it's something very important. Apparently, yeah, because Bob Jones University being an important part, and with it being mentioned in this movie. Also, at times, the conversations that the professor and Mrs. Munson have, yeah, and not bad, and I feel as though, I don't know, from what I can tell, the professor, kind of, is takes a liking to Mrs. Munson, and, knowing that she's a harmless and, tough old lady, for sure, and the many times that, she's talked about her late husband and staring at the portrait of him, yeah. And also, at times, poetry being brought up in this movie, and one of the professor's favorites is Edgar Allan Poe, and him, quoting the poetry and such from Edgar Allan Poe at times. Even say when at one point, yeah, because, and when things are not starting to slowly but surely not look good for the 5 main criminals. Also, another moment between the professor and Mrs. Munson, I almost forgot to mention, it was pretty funny, because when the Sheriff Weiner showed up at one point, and, well, because the professor, because he's there, and, he hears that, well, the sheriff has arrived. Well, basically, when Mrs. Munson is introducing the sheriff to the professor, well, he's nowhere to be seen. And, she looks in different parts of the house, and then going upstairs, and in one of the rooms, well, he's not there. And she did notice that, there was something under a bed, and her looking under the bed, and it's the professor with tea. So, but yeah. And I'm pretty sure, because, I don't know, maybe at first the sheriff thought she was kind of acting crazy, especially what happens at the end, but I think probably because, the sheriff knowing Mrs. Munson that much, yeah, he knows what she's like, and how can she make up some things like that, and what had been going on in her house. So, yeah. Okay, so still, speed things up, because at a certain point, well, a bunch of friends of Mrs. Munson, from church and such, they're there, and, well, because, and also, McSam, he's not back from work yet, and Mrs. Munson tells them that they should perform their instruments and do something, and to entertain not just her, but her friends at church, and, them coming upstairs, and, the professor telling them that, well, they're unable to perform, and, well, because one of their members is not there, and it just wouldn't be complete, yeah. And what happens next is, yeah, the professor quoting poetry from Edgar Allan Poe, and yeah, and what he says, well, because everybody, they liked it, and then McSam coming in, and what did, it's what did I miss, basically. And so, then at one point, because, yeah, it's just really not looking good for them, and, Mrs. Munson gave them an offering, I should say. Yeah, she gave them an offering. She told them that, they can come to church with her, but if not, then it's jail they go. It's they go to jail and such, and something they can do about the money, etc., yeah. And at a certain point, they plan and just how to dispose and get rid of Mrs. Munson. Well, they figure it out and realize that, well, just shooting the old lady, basically. And then they start pulling straws, that whole thing. And eventually, because, when it comes to McSam pulling out a piece of straw, which actually was from pieces of a broom, well, he's the one that's gonna kill Mrs. Munson. And, still, McSam and Garth still not getting along, and at times them just saying F you back to each other. F you, F you. And I love it because, as I mentioned, the professor just trying to, get them to knock it off and to ease off and such, he does it so calmly. That's great, Always love to have one of those people just to calmly get two others to knock it off and such, and yeah. Even a couple of times when they get into a little brawl, yeah. So, yeah, for McSam, because he's the one that's, is going to have to pull the trigger on Mrs. Munson, and him quietly approaching Mrs. Munson. She's got her rocking chair facing, well, not just the fireplace, but the portrait of her late husband, and by grabbing a pillow, and out of nowhere, McSam starts to have a flashback, because we see a young McSam. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he would be credited, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, and also, yeah, little McSam being played by Jeremy. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize him. I didn't recognize him, I should say. The voice of Coda from Brother Bear plays young slash little McSam. And his mother, being played by Paula Martin, McSam's mama, because basically the flashback that he has, because he has a puppy dog, and well, when his mama turns around, because she was in a rocking chair watching TV, and she can see that her son has a puppy dog, well, she's furious. She's furious at her son, and even just warning her that, when his dad gets back, he'll be, even more sorry. And because he was remembering that, he then started to say, I love you, Mama, I'm sorry. And Mrs. Munson turning around and just, wondering what the heck she's doing, and, and with her pillow, and just beating him with a pillow. And he just couldn't do it, because Mrs. Munson reminded him a lot of his mama, and yeah, he chickened out. He couldn't do it. He just he just didn't have the grip to do it. And yeah, because, the professor disappointed on what just happened, and because he couldn't do it, and, McSam telling them that one of them should do it, not him. And once again, Garth and McSam getting into another brawl and such, and, even threatening Garth with the gun that he has. And once again, he insults Garth's love interest, saying that she's a 60-year-old woman and such. And yeah, this pisses Garth off, and just going at it, just, getting into a brawl with him, and just, and she's not, according to Garth, like, she's like in her 50s. And it's just getting intense, especially the fact that McSam has a gun to his hand, and when they get down on the ground, the floor and such, well, we do hear a gunshot. A gunshot goes off, and, well, one of them took the bullet, obviously. But who? And we can see, and judging by the facial expressions on, both McSam and Garth, well, yeah, especially with McSam, even it didn't take me that long to realize, McSam took the bullet, and he's dead. And yeah, so that's the end of McSam. And what are they going to do? How are they going to dispose his body, and to not have Mrs. Munson see them disposing his body? Well, because the professor comes up with a plan to, to distract and talk to Mrs. Munson, and to talk to her because of the offer that she made to the professor and the others. And yeah, because while he's distracting her, well, because, the General, Garth, and Lump, they're disposing McSam's body. And where else are they going to get rid / dispose his body? The dumpster, of course, the boat carrying garbage. Yeah, just dropping his body in a garbage bag in the dumpster of the boat, the garbage boat, basically. And yeah, so again, that's the end of McSam. Now it's just down to only 4 remaining. And well, because they were planning to leave and such, but at one point, Garth actually pulls something on the other 3, because, well, he was packing everything up, and, and the professor was suspecting something, like, something's not quite right, and something's off, and, well, the money was going to be placed in this big briefcase that was carrying one of the instruments, but when he opened it, it had a lot of magazines, and, well, yeah, Garth took the money. So, yeah, because he's not going to go along with the deal that the professor had on how much fortune and such they would have of the money. So, yeah, he was going to take it all himself, and, of course, with him, his lady, his girl, Mountain Girl, and they were this close to leaving, and, well, because the professor alerting Lump and the General, and, we can see the General is right behind Garth, and, well, the General is going to do something, and at one point, when he's about to load the money and such in the hippie vehicle that they're driving in, it seems at one point he's having another IBS moment, but Actually, no. He's getting strangled by the general, and what happened next was both Garth and Mountain Girl got killed, and their bodies, like McSam, in garbage bags being disposed of in the garbage of that, the garbage boat. So both of them are just sadly killed. Jeez. At least both of them died, and yeah. So, so now it's just down to 3. And, their attempt to, kill and dispose Mrs. Munson, well, it's down and up to the general. Yep, so the general, quietly sneaking into Mrs. Munson's room. She's asleep, and, she even has her, teeth in a glass of water, and, well, because he was about to kill Mrs. Munson while she was asleep. But at one point, right when he was about to kill her, her cuckoo clock, was set off, and, just not trying to wake her up or anything like that, because, he panics. Even, because he panicked, he accidentally swallowed his cigar. Because, he did put the cigar back in his mouth, even when she was still asleep. Why? Because he was going to kill her anyways, but, that's what he did, so. And because he accidentally swallowed his cigar, he still panics, and he takes a drink of water from the cup, the glass cup that has her teeth, but then what happens next is, Pickles is present. Well, this causes him to, tumble down the stairs, and, I think he did break his neck, but also he hit his head on the wall. So, yeah, the general is now dead. So now it's down to 2. So what happens next is, because, the professor and Lump, they're the only 2 left, they dispose the general's body when the garbage boat approaches at the bridge, dropping his body, and yeah. So now it's just them, they're the only 2 left, and now it's up to Lump to kill Mrs. Munson. And at that point, Lump gives in, and he tells the professor that he can't do it. He just can't do it. And for a character like Lump, because, he's the dim-witted and, stupid guy and such, he does know for a fact that it's the wrong thing to do. And the professor being disappointed in him and just starts insulting Lump. And because, Lump has the gun in his hand, because obviously he knows that the professor is insulting him, and of course he doesn't like it, so he points the gun at the professor and was about to kill him. But when he's pulling the trigger, there's nothing happens, no bullets, and just he has the gun pointed at him, and he accidentally shoots himself. There was 1 bullet. When it came to the 5th round, I want to say, because there was 1 bullet in that final round, and he shot himself accidentally, and his body goes falling down in the garbage boat. And the professor is all that's left, and he starts quoting poetry, of Edgar Allan Poe, and he spots a raven flying up, and these creepy statues, because, some certain gargoyle stone statues, and these ones, so a raven is up top of one of those statues, stones, gargoyles, and we can see, I did notice this, one of them, and the neck and such of one of those statues there's a crack, and I had a good feeling what was going to happen next, because, it was going to break off, and with, the raven flying away, because, when the professor's, quoting poetry and such, Edgar Allan Poe, the piece of the stone, the head, it falls down, hits the professor's head, and then he tumbles and, falling down from the bridge, and part of his, trench coat, I want to say, it catches, it gets caught, and it's around his neck. He gets accidentally hung! Wow! That's crazy. And, that's the end of the professor. All 5 of them are killed, and it's very fitting that, the last one to be killed was the leader, the professor, and, his body, of course, gets gets undetached from the piece of his trench coat that caused him to be hung. Well, his body comes off of it, and, well, his body goes falling down into the garbage boat. So, yeah, and... yeah, just all 5 of those criminals, their bodies being disposed of in the garbage boats, just, well, like, that very fitting, I should say. Yeah, that's what I was going for, very fitting. And so the next morning, well, Mrs. Munson, she wakes up, puts her teeth in her mouth, and she can see that, and notice that, well, none of the 5 criminals are in sight. Even noticed a hole in the wall because, well, the general's head hit part of the wall, down the stairway. And she can see down in the basement, well, because they're not there. And I don't think she ever realized that, well, some of them were murdered, and some of them were accidentally killed. Yeah, I don't think she ever realized that. And nor was it ever discovered and reported on the 5 criminals and so on. And, well, because when she arrives at the sheriff's office, Sheriff Weiner, she reports to him on what had happened at her house. And, well, because it's on the newspaper, a robbery at the casino. And, well, she tells the sheriff that, well, all the money that was from the casino is down in her basement. And apparently because the sheriff and the deputy, they don't seem to have a problem with this, and they do nothing about it, like, thinking that she stole the money, because, honestly, like, you think that someone like Mrs. Munson would steal something, like, would steal money from the casino and such, like, she would do something like that. That's impossible. But, I mean, she tells the sheriff about these 5 musicians who weren't actually musicians, like musicians of the Renaissance, I think that's the correct word, yeah, that's mentioned about the 5 of them. So yeah, because they weren't musicians at all, because they were criminals, and what they were doing down in her basement, stealing money from the casino, and yeah, then I guess they do believe her, I assume, and she's wondering what to do with the money. And, well, it then dawns to her that, well, she can use the money, well, and basically give the money to the Bob Jones University, because that's a good idea. That's a great idea of her. That's a really good idea that she comes up with. Yeah, just give all that money to the Bob Jones University, because, with the mentionings of the Bob Jones University, and as I said, a very important part, and with it being mentioned, and it seemed as though that, yeah, the Bob Jones University was desperately needing that kind of money, and thus, that's what she's going to do. So, yeah, good on her. And, well, because we're up at the ending, and her returning to her home, and once again, Pickles escapes, and clearly because he has something in his mouth, and, oh, what could it be? Gee, I wonder. Well, Pickles makes his way to the bridge, and we can see he still has the finger of Garth in his mouth, and he drops it. He lets go of it, and, well, it lands in the garbage boat. And, the camera pans up, and we get a nice shot of the sun and the ocean, and, yeah. And that's how the movie ends. Wow, just what a heck of a way to end it off. I mean, from the deaths of the 5 criminals, and with what Mrs. Munson was going to do with that money. I mean, technically, it did end on a happy note, and what Mrs. Munson was going to do with that money. And during the end credits, because we see, another performance at the church with the African-American church choir, and, them once again singing one of the 2 songs in this movie, and yeah, that was a nice way to end the film right there. The Ladykillers by the Coen brothers. Yeah, again, I quite enjoyed the remake of The Ladykillers done by the Coen brothers. Again, yeah, it's not the best remake film, and, seeing as how, again, this is the Coen brothers' first remake film that they've done. The story, I thought, was not that bad. The characters, the casting, the music and score, and the 2 songs that are played in this movie, and, the funny moments, the intenseful moments, the what the crap moments, the shocking moments and such, moments that, you wouldn't expect, and that especially goes for me. Yeah, just Everything about the Ladykillers from the Coen brothers, not that bad. Not bad at all, in my opinion. And I'm giving the Ladykillers, why not? I'm giving it 7 out of 10 stars. Yes, 7 out of 10 stars for the Ladykillers, done by the Coen brothers, the good old Coen brothers themselves. And what about you guys? What did you think of the remake of The Ladykillers itself, done by the Coen brothers? Do you think it's not that bad? Do you enjoy and like the work of the Coen brothers, their taste of filmmaking? Did you enjoy the cast and what was going on in the movie? And were you like me, just did not see it coming with what happened in the movie with some of the deaths? And did you get some chuckles like I did? Yeah, just overall, what did you think of the film itself and with what I've had to say and with my review? And yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the remake of The Ladykillers, done by the good old Coen brothers themselves. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video /review. And stay tuned later tonight, because the next film I'm going to be doing, which, came out the same year as The Ladykillers, well, this film starring good old Jim Carrey, where he plays a count who adopts 3 children. Yeah, I think you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Again, stay tuned for that. Take care. Happy anniversary to the Coen brothers, remake of The Ladykillers, and, very quickly, yeah, it could not top off, the Coen brothers remake of The Ladykillers could not top off the original one that was done by the late William Rose. I think, yeah, I got the last name right, yeah. So again, happy anniversary to the remake of The Ladykillers, done by the good old Coen brothers themselves, and peace out.